Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Sip. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo. Painting. Painting. Give it up for Myro the monkey, praying us in on another glorious day of Paintingu. As the 30 mortars fire in, and my beloved Japanites begin to gather their chi. Paintingu. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo goo. Painting goo. Goo 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 goo. Painting goo. Goo 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 goo. Bring it home, Myro. Show these 30 mortars what you've got. Painting goo. Goo 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 goo. Painting goo. Goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Some beautiful piano playing by our very own monkey, Myro. And right above him is the always terrifying Garros, weirder of the signage that reminds you to like and subscribe to Paintingu. Do not infuriate him. For what lies beneath his aluminium bucket and sunglasses is unmentionable. Now, you 30 mortars, and of course my beloved Japanites, greetings and welcome to another booming, glorious episode of Paintingu. The beautiful light of heaven is shining brightly upon Paintingu this fine day. It is indeed a glorious day for Paintingu. I am as always blessed and joined by the Paintingu posse. You have already met Myro and Agaros, keeper of the signage, player of the piano. Tobias Beakus Gross is the keeper of the tongu. And Mini Baru, all the way from Siberia, I suppose. Well, we did pick up Garros in Latin America, not Siberia. Although, it must be mentioned that he is a Siberian tiger. Aras, I digress. Mini Baru, all the way in from Siberia to purvey the Mapu. We have landed recently in a place named after some dude called Vincent. St. Vincent's and Grenadines, an island located in the Caribbean. A registry. It is north of Latin America, and apparently quite beautiful. Pardon me while I descend to proper PEINTEINGU posture. Ah, glorious. Today we have much PEINTEINGU to do. The hat has decided that in this island scene we must appraise a mouse, a kayak, and a wedding cake. So, what chaos is awaiting us on this fine Wednesday? Is today Wednesday? What day is today? You mortals and your calendars and your days. They vex me so. Wednesday! That's what day today is. Right. As we commence the tunage and prepare to gather our chi. For gathering chi is quite important on PEINTEINGU. Why? Because the chi must flow freely, strongly, with vigorous and potent and passionate intent. Stabaru, Desmondu, Corberu, Antonio, welcome to PEINTEINGU. I am selecting today's tunage. It is a beautiful day, and I believe some beautiful tunage should accompany it. So, without any further ado, I present to you classical music that goes hard.
Your cat is a master of balance.
I have no cat! And I am a master of balance! How dare you make the pussy out to be greater than the demigod? This is shameful! Nobody cares about your pussy food! It is disgusting! Unnecessary! This, however, pleases me. I am a fan of the orange.
Are you for real? Real fruit, real club.
Why would I lie? Why would I lie about being a fan of orange? Especially fizzy orange.
Build wealth by earning 4%
These
interest.
advertisements
Now you can
vex me
get
so.
212.
Another one! They are adventurous! They are almost admirable in their consistency and patience. They just keep coming, bombarding you with shit. Shit nobody wants. Who the fuck buys a mobile phone from a Tesco? How to tell me you are in a really bad situation without telling me you're in a really bad situation. You just bought a fucking mobile phone from Tesco. Ooh, 35 degrees Celsius. Gorgeous. Very, very lucky! Indeedo. The weather is gorgeous. Oh, glorious! My first Gepu of the day. Right! The parrot is loaded. The canvas is ready. I place my royal rag upon my demi-divine knee in preparation for the goop. Oh, a ding of the dawn to cleanse any present demonagay energy. It's all gay. Ah. To cleanse one's chi with such tunage is quite important. Listen closely. Allow that sharp tonage to resonate through your spina. as you realize it's time for paintingu. Oh, I believe the wedding cake should be first. I have envisioned a kaiju cake. Cease your squeaking, Micah. I'm gonna put googly eyes on the mic and call it Mike. Zip, zip. So, a wedding cake. Where are my bitches? Let's get them wet. I believe this one. I am very partial to the chisel. The chisel! Painting cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. Right. I have envisioned the cake somewhere either beside the mountain or cresting the horizon. Let me see. It says mouse and kayak, so I was thinking we could do multiple. Mice and kayaka. What's the plural of kayak? Is it just kayaks? Kayake? Kayaka! Kayaka! What's that again? I can't remember. That's out of something. I think it's Gaiaka. I don't know. Oh. Painting goo goo. Goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. I kind of want the wedding cake, like, all, like, already defeated and lying up against the mountain. What do you think? Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. I do love cake. It's glorious having a female that can bake. Nothing quite like homemade cake. It's glorious. I love this one. Wait for it. Here it comes. Painting goo 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 goo. Sip sip sip, rant rant rant, sip sip, paint sip sip sip, rant rant rant. Goo goo goo. Some of you have realized that it is only a matter of time before every song in the realm is just known as a different version of Paintingu. Paintingu, goo, 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 goo. Paintingu, goo, 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 goo. Goo, 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 goo. Painting goo, 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 goo. This is gonna be some kaiju cake. Do you imagine, like, dying at the hands of a giant wedding cake? There's only one thing more traumatizing than being killed by a giant fucking... What's that fucker called? The giant donut puff thing out of Ghostbusters. He looks like the Michelin Man, like. I think being killed by a giant wedding cake would probably be slightly more traumatizing. Whoa! Weddingu kake! Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, Jesus, it's classical paintingu. Yeah, I wish she's much better today. She's still very tired, but she's doing fine. That's basically all that's wrong with her. She's just, like, exhausted. She's been doing a lot of traveling with the family lately for, like, birthdays and events and stuff like that, like, and, she's, like, having to, like, rearrange her work hours and catch up and stuff and all, like, so she's been in late a lot of times. So she's just knackered, like. Disposable gloves plus sweatu equals boundaries. Oh. Oh, glorious cable. Boundaries frustration. Yeah, I can only imagine, like. Most things that are disposable are like disposable razors. Like fucking, like, anytime I think of like stuff that's disposable, it's like it's disposable because it's shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like when a lord or like a general of an army is like, which one of our units is expendable? Send that one on a scouting mission. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you expect it to just not come back. Like disposable cameras were cool, you know. You could clickety click, dump it, or keep the film and then bring it back or whatever. Or was the film locked into the back of them? I can't remember. We had to like actually bring the camera back to get it, like, you know, developed and shit. Like, I think it's like tragic and funny and like just weird how like all of that stuff has changed over the years. Where, like, you know, like things like Chartbusters and like Blockbusters and Extravision, like all of that's gone, and it's all online now and all. Like, you don't rent movies anymore. Like you, like, what's this bollocks of like renting a movie digitally? Like, I just think that's insane. Like, you go onto YouTube and it's like, do you want to pay a $5 to be able to have access to this movie for like 2 weeks or something? Like, do you know what I mean? But then after that, it's just like you know, it's so weird. Do you know what I mean? Like this digital gatekeeping shit, like. And it's not like I haven't partaken in it myself. Like, I have like 300 fucking games on my PlayStation, like, you know. Like a fucking collection that I have accumulated over like the past like probably 8 years or something, like. And it's mad, like. I'd much prefer to have physical copies. But like, you know, it's my own fault. I went through that phase as well when like just before Extravision started to like go downhill and shit, or as it was going downhill, I'd like show up with a load of my Xbox 360 games and like trade them in for money and shit. Like, it was mad the way I could do that. Like, the amount of times I did that, I went and bought a bag of weed. What a waste. What a fucking waste, man. Let's get some layers on this cake. This bitch needs to be white as fuck. Which reminds me, I noticed I need to do more white on the clouds, actually. Like, they're beautiful and fluffy, but they're too transparent for my liking. And we all know how Defenderu likes his opacity. Painting goo 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 goo. I love that kind of like that's very like Russian, or would that be kind of Jewish as well? That kind of, it's kind of gypsy-ish, you know. I just imagine people like, you know, bobbing up and down and like wearing big hats and doing Cossack dances and shit. Like, I've always wanted one of them hats. You know those big furry fucking things, like. I've always wanted one of them, like. Fucking brilliant hats. Like. I want a rice paddy hat. I want a Russian, you know, like those classic Russian hats with the fucking, like, they go down over your ears and shit, and like the big furry thing on the top. I'd actually love one that had like the fucking hammer and sickle on it and all. It'd be deadly. Like. I'd actually like. I would love a wardrobe full of like really high quality, legit costumes. You know, I could just like dress up on Paintingu, like as a fucking Rasta, as a Nazi, as a fucking Japanese fucking demigod, as a fucking like blind dude, as like, there'll come a time where like every second episode of Paintingu is like Willkommen, you know, from Makanai Malarai, and then the next day is like I'm blind, and then the next day I'll do like I could do one as like a fucking Greek, you know what I mean? I put like a wreath around my head and fucking sit here in a toga and paint like do a fucking cartoon portrait of fucking Caesar or some shit, like. Oh, that'd be brilliant. Like, as much as I love the overall theme and the what you call it, the like what would you call it now? Like, just the structure and like theme of Paintingu. I really want to, like, when I have more money to like put into it, like I'm genuine, like I really want a legit looking Nazi general costume. Like, and like part of it is because like I'm an artist and I think they're fucking awesome looking. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, as far as like I think I'd look brilliant in one. Did they have many gingers? Was there a lot of ginger Nazis? You know, I'm not sure. Oh god. No, I don't. That's why I got Plex. Oh well, excuse it, your little dab emoji. Fucking, you goddamn nerd. I really do weep for the generation of kids who will never know the greatness that was Blockbuster Video. Man, like, I just missed, you know, the era of, like, Space Invaders and Tetris and stuff, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a 90s kid. Like, I'm an early 90s kid as well. I was born in 1991. So, like, 1 year into the 90s, I'm born, and I grow up through the fucking 90s, and then the 2000s and all. Like, it's just, like, the amount the contrasting shit I remember between, like, fashion and, like, the way streets looked and shops, like the aesthetics of everything in the 90s, and then the aesthetics of everything in the early 2000s, and then like how movies started to look different and shit, like, you know, like high definition became a thing and all these things. Like, it was fucking gas. Like, John O'Shea, welcome to Paintingu. Iron Man Buru, welcome to Paintingu. Ushankas are pretty awesome. I have one made of rabbit fur. Oh, that'd be glorious. I'd say that's like really soft. I didn't know that's what they were called, an Ushanka. That's awesome. Yeah, no, they took the gingers out back. Is that like, I'm like, you know, because it's always about the Jews and the blacks. It's always about the Jews and the blacks. Like, so what was the crack with, like, what was the Nazi opinion of redheads? What are we, like, do you know what I mean? Are we like fucking mutants or something? Like, I don't know, like, and like, you know, like, you can kind of say that, like, you know, redheads are essentially like, you know, like, oh, they're Celts, you know, so that's their culture. But it's like, not, well, there's apparently Muhammad was like redheaded and shit, like, you know, and there's like fucking rumors that Genghis was redheaded and stuff, like, so like, as far as I can tell, just as much as like blacks are like a breed, and whites in quotes are a breed or whatever, and you have all these different breeds of blacks and whites and stuff like that, like, I genuinely think gingers are a breed, because there's gingers with like different, you know, I think I've seen black gingers. No mess, I think that's actually a thing, like, and it wasn't like dyed red, like, and they had blue eyes and shit. It's crazy looking. I think gingers are like a fucking breed, like, I mean, some people say we're Atlanteans and shit, you know, like, that's why our skin is so pale. It's because we're like, we typically live in caves or underwater or some shit, like. Which is like, it's supposed to make sense on a level, like, but like, still. It's like, what the fuck? Right, I need some pink and some purple and some shit for this wedding cake. And then we're gonna put a fucking... I kind of want to put the groom on his knees holding the bride, and she's like dead. Because like the wedding cake has been wounded, that's why it's leaning up against it. So I think it'd be hilarious if the bride was like holding the groom and she's dead. He's like, no! On top of the cake that's like been shot to pieces. I haven't decided how big I'm gonna make the mouse yet. Like, I think we need like one big mouse. Oh, will I do 2 wedding cakes? One with a groom and one with a bride, and they're like fucking duking it out. And then there's just like a lot of mice kayaking, you know, at the bottom. Like, they're like just chilling. They've nothing to do with the situation. I don't know. Sometimes the randomness of my creativity like hinders me, because I'm like, it's like choice paralysis. It's like, I could do whatever the fuck I want, but like, what should I do? I should watch Pirates of the Caribbean again. That's what that song is telling me. Who makes all these? I do. And I train with them 6 hours a day. You need to find yourself a girl, mate. Like, I love the first one. The Black Pearl's a brilliant movie. It's full of great music like this. Space Invaders was brilliant. Hugo was a boss, indeed. Imagine, was that actually his second name, or like did you just like start referring to himself as like, my name is Hugo, I'm the boss? Yeah, people like that out through history, like fucking your man Stephen out of well, I suppose it's not history, it's a movie, like, do you know what I mean? But like fucking Stephen out of Braveheart. My name's Stephen. I'm the most wanted man on my island. Your island? You mean Ireland? Aye, it's mine. It's like, okay. I know, there's something about the name Stephen, man. Like, I was watching more of them crime investigation things last night, like, and there was this guy called Stephen, this like little Jewy looking fuck with like, you know, curly hair and shit. Like, you know when you see a white, like a fucking pasty ass white kid who's like of slight build, and he's got like that fucking mad afro hair, like, you're just like, Jew! Like, immediately. He looked like a pure Jewish kid, like, you know, he was a creepy looking little fuck with, like, you know, one of them no chin cunts. And he spent the whole interrogation like fucking, like, they basically had him dead to rights. They were like, fucking they found some young one's body from his college campus or whatever, cut up in a bin around the corner, like, and they're like, did you have anything to do with this, Stephen? And he, like, the whole interview, he had his hands on the desk like this, right? And he was just staring at them. He didn't blink for like half an hour straight, and he's just looking at them like this. It's like, Stephen, did you kill Lauren? No. Do you know anything about what happened to Lauren? No. Where we, like, what was it? They asked him at one point. They were like, What do you know about what happened to Lauren? And he goes, I don't know. And there's like a pause, and I paused and I looked at the female and I was like, did you hear what he just said? What do you know about what happened to Lauren? I don't know. What do you mean? You don't know what you know about what... Like, do you know what I mean? The funniest part was, the narrator was like, Stephen refuses to be anything other than robotic and answer in yes and no answers and repeat that he doesn't know anything and all this stuff, right? He fucking studied law. That's what he was in college doing when he killed this blonde bitch that he fucking, you know, presumably, like, was turned down by or some shit and, like, had a fucking mini, you know, mental breakdown or something, brutally murdered her. Like, they were in college studying law together, like, so, of course the little fucking pasty-ass Jewish kid that's studying law, who just murdered a young one around the corner, and now you have him in the fucking police station. Of course he's gonna be like, yes, no, I don't know. Like, he's studying law, you fucking, like... The interrogators are like, why are you being like this, Stephen? Why can't you just be straight with me, Stephen? Why can't you just tell the truth, Stephen? Be honest, Stephen. No, like, I don't think you're being honest with me, Stephen. No fucking shit. I just, like, I crack up watching these things. One of the detectives turned around to me and was like, we know it all, Stephen. We know you cleaned it up. Why is your bathroom full of blood, Stephen? You know, you didn't clean it all. You didn't get it all, Stephen. Don't you watch CSI? He's still just sitting there going, I don't know. Oh man, I might start doing streams where I just watch things and commentate on them, like, cause fucking hell, I was cracking up watching that last thing. It's so funny. Oh god. Some fucking absolute psychos out there, man. Like, seriously, like fucking teenage boys who, like, snap and, like, kill their family members, and then, like, they're in an interrogation room with two detectives covered in blood, and they're, like, totally lucid, you know, and being like, so yeah, then I got the knife from the kitchen, went in, told her to lie down, and started stabbing her in the neck, and, like, you know, there was a lot of blood. She started to fight back. You know, like, the detectives are just sitting there taking notes, being like, oh god. Like, we got another absolute loony bin job on our hands. Like, you know, fucking, like, it's not surprising that, like, the system, the system that we've currently employed in society, at least in the West anyway, is like, when you come across people like that, it's like you just look at a fucking doctor, and you're like, so how many cc's of what are we giving this guy, and where are we putting him? Like, it's just, so you did what with her brains? Oh, well, like, you know, the fucking hammer wasn't doing the job, you know, from what I could tell, so I just stuck my hand right in there and just kind of messed around in the inside of her skull, like, to make sure she was dead, like. You wonder why they just have buildings full of these cunts and they just tranquilize them. It's like, that's it, Timothy, just keep playing with the Jenga, you know? You know, like, these people are fucking off the wall, like. Isn't there mad shit about ginger blood? Lots of unique weird properties you have. I've heard stuff, man. I've heard, like, some genuinely weird shit. Like, the reason our hair is red is because we produce our own vitamin D. That's why we burn so intensely in the sun, is because, like, we don't really need sunlight. We could almost, like, absorb energy from the fucking moon. And, like, I've felt like that sometimes. I genuinely feel more, like, switched on at night than I do during the day. Especially in the summer, the day feels like, because of the heat and the sunlight and all, the day will feel like, I like it and I like feeling warm and stuff like that and all, but, like, very quickly I get sick of it. I'm like, I just want to, like, you know, I'm like, it's weird because not only am I ginger, but, like, I'm also a Scorpio, which may or may not be true. If they fucked with the calendars, it might be something else. But, like, I felt like scorpion energy sometimes where I just want to hide away in a dark corner. Like, do my own thing. Like, it's like the sun feels so oppressive to me, like, you know. I've gotten burned, like, really badly a few times in my life. Like, I got a massive fucking, like, 3-inch long, 2-inch wide, about 1.5 inches high off my shoulder blister. Like, one big one, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I've got my whole back like, blistered to the point, like, you know, I'm talking, like, just under like severe burns. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I cooked, like, to a degree. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't 3rd degree burns, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if like some of the times I got burnt, if they, like, if I went to like a nurse or a hospital or something, they're like, Jesus, yeah, that's like nearly 2nd degree burns or something. Because it's fucking wild. Like, my ankles got it real bad one time, and I got like a mad rash and shit. Like, my face got badly burnt one day. Like, I fell asleep with a hoodie over me in the playground. I went on to like some summer camp thing to speak Irish. It's called a Gaeltacht here, like, and I fell asleep on a bench with a hoodie over my face, and like, I'd say it wasn't even that intense. It was like 20 degrees or something, like, but the sun was like right there, and it was a black hoodie, and I'm Ginge, you know, like, and the lads were calling me Freddy Krueger because like my face was like swollen, and I had blisters like all over my forehead, all over my nose and cheeks. And like, it was mad. Like, when I started peeling, I was literally like taking a whole. It was like I got some kind of spa treatment. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was literally like peeling huge chunks off my face. Like, the same thing happened when like we were in Malta or some shit, and my back got it really bad, and it started to peel, and we were like, it was me, me da, and me ma. I can't remember. I think Megan was there. She was still really young. And we had gone on this like boat cruise, and there was like a buffet thing on it, and we were sitting in the corner, and I was like wriggling, and I couldn't get comfortable because my t-shirt's material was kind of a bit like, you know, it was a bit like, not wool, but it was like a little bit rough, like, do you know what I mean? And it was fucking bugging the shit out of me because I had sunburn and all, like, and it was like starting to heal, so it was even worse. I wasn't in pain, but the itching was insane, like, and I like lifted my t-shirt up at one point and like just was scratching, and then like felt a bit of like where the skin was peeling off, and I was just like, and I like took off this huge panel off my back of like flesh, like, do you know what I mean? And I turned around to me dad, I was like, oh my god, look at that. I'm like, it was like a small canvas. And I was like, I'm peeling like intensely. And he was like, stop doing that. Like, and me ma was like, would you fucking, like, I just like, in the middle of a buffet, there's like loads of people walking around with kids and shit, and I just whipped this like panel of flesh off my back. And I'm like, oh my god, look at that, that's intense. They were so embarrassed. They were like, oh, fucking put that away. Jesus Christ, there's people eating. Like, what are you doing? I'm there fascinating because I'm like fucking... I'm like a snake. This is awesome. Like, oh, it's fucking mad. Like, I've had some intense ones, like, where I'm just like... Even recently enough, like, my forearms got a bad... I was on the phone to Iron Man Bear out the back garden, and I was doing the garden, and Iron Man Bear rang me. We were having a chat and all. So I just squatted down in the garden, and I was just like talking to him and shit. And about 4 minutes into the fucking conversation, I felt my forearms start to like there was pain, like, do you know what I mean? I was like, ah, like, do you know? And the following day, it's just fucking red, and like a few days later, it's like peeling to the point where like I could go like that, and like, you know, it's like fucking when black people say they're all ashy and shit. It's just like flesh particles like all over the place, like. Fucking mad, like, but it's funny though, because like I don't, you know, there's all this shit of like fucking sunscreen and like cancer and shit, like, and obviously they used to lather me up when I was a kid, and I always used to hate it, because like, again, like, I'm very like I'm very sensitive. It's like the gayest thing to say, but my skin is very thin and like very sensitive. It's not thin, it's like, you know, it's not dense. So I suppose it is thin. But like, it's the particles of my flesh are probably on a micro scale, like further apart from each other than like a black person's or even a normal white person's with some dark complexion or hair. So, like, you know, there's people who are my color, but like when they go out in the sun, they tan. You know, so it's not just like pasty ass white kids. It's pasty ass ginger kids. Do you know what I mean? Who like really get burnt bad. Like, my ma gets it bad as well. Like, she looks like a fucking tomato. Like, Hugo Bossenstein. That's hilarious. The Boot Boys wanted him white, not transparent. Yeah, like, it's like the Nazis come across gingers, or like a lot of gingers here. It's like, oh, these guys are the white people. Oh, we're fucking white as fuck. Like, a lot of gingers show up in a Nazi like enrollment camp or some shit for the army, and it's like, boss, is this? You know, like, I can see through you. This is not fight. This is glass. Was ist das? We did not want glass. We want to fight. Take your freckles and fuck off. Like, what's the story with that? Like, I've never understood that shit. Like, I'd get like a bit of sun and I get more freckles, but then the freckles disappear. Like, so it's like, it's weird. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like some people get a tan, but I like get dots. Like, what the fuck? Like, the more you look into it, and especially being a ginge, like, you know, and I know what it's like to be a ginge, like, it's like, we're definitely, like, a different breed, like, you know? Which brings up the talk of, like, are we all actually, like, human? Or are, like, some of us human, and there's, like, a few breeds of us, but then some of us are, like, actually not human, we're, like, a different kind of human, never mind, like, a different breed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not surprised there's been lots of, like, cult shit about, like, examining skulls and, like, how different we are in shape and size and skin color and, like, all this crap, like... And, like, what John said, like, do you know what I mean? I've heard stuff about, like, the blood of a ginger has, like, different minerals or enzymes or, like, vitamins and shit in it. Like the stuff that's like, oh, we produce our own vitamin D. Which makes sense, like I said, because if we burn in the sun, then we'd need some kind of biological counterbalance in order to survive and shit, you know? So, like... Stuff's fascinating, like. I think the Wehrmacht had a regiment of gingers. It was called the Ghost Division. And like, it's funny though, because yeah, our skin is like basically see-through, but we have red hair, so it's not like you can see us coming a mile away. Like, do you know what I mean? People would point me out of a crowd, like when I'm wearing a grey beanie. Do you know, like, because you can see, you just, is that him? I don't know, it's just a dude in a grey beanie. I don't know, wait for him to turn around. Red beard. That's him! Like, I'm literally, like, you know, like, really obvious. Like, I stand out to fuck in night and in day. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is that why it's no blacks, like, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish? I know. Well, that's why I started this rant. It's like, are gingers Irish? Do you know what I mean? Like, because... there's all different, like, there's blacks, right? You could be black, but you could be Ugandan. So what? You're African? And, like, there's all these subcategories, like, do you know what I mean? It's all been, like, fucking watered down and shit. It's just, like, I want the, like, root. I want the root, like, the etymological root of, like, genealogy. Like, it's just, like, where the fuck does this come from? Like, originally. Somebody fucking knows. Like, the closest I've heard to is, like, the whole fucking Helsinki stuff with the old world shit, where the tribe of Sven and the tribe of Dan, they came through the ice after the ice age or some shit like that, like, and they had spent so much time in the ice that apparently that's why blonde and blue eyes and red hair and blue eyes or something exist in the first place. But then you get the whole, like, redheads, you know, allegedly have a connection to Atlantis and stuff. And Atlantis... allegedly wasn't like, it's not like, because people think Atlantis and it's like, oh, it's a city underwater and like they all live underwater. No, it was a city that got flooded and like got put underwater. It was like the most advanced place at the time, like most advanced tech, most advanced library, like most advanced like literature, all this fucking shit. And then it got flooded, kind of like fucking, like, you know, the whole Noah thing and shit, like, you know, it's like, because people, like, you know, the Disney movie Atlantis or whatever like that, like, you think, like, fucking Aquaman and all that, he's like, oh, I'm from Atlantis. It's like, they think Atlantis is, like, underwater city. It's like, no, it used to be just, like, a city, and then the waters took it. And, like, apparently one of the, like, you know, allegedly one of the reasons why that happened is because they were using, the tech they were using was all these, like, aqueducts and shit that, like, came from the sea and entered the city in, like, these like sectioned off dams and like circles and stuff. Like, so you'd have a circle within a circle within a circle, a dam, and there'd be like at varying heights and stuff like that, like during levels. And apparently there was like some kind of catastrophe and the whole thing flooded, and that's how it ended up underwater. But there's a lot of, like, you know, a lot of people, you'd be like, yeah, you know, Atlantis and all, and they'd be like, oh, the underwater people, the sea people, like fucking Poseidon and shit, and fucking Ariel's Da. Like, it's like, no, like, it's not that, like. I didn't realize gingers had blood. I know, we have souls and blood too. It's fascinating, isn't it? Like, it's amazing what you learn on the internet. Right, let's get some details on this cunt. Cake. Cunt cake? Like, he's a cake and he's a proper cunt. Like, right, he's all dead, right? It's all splayed out on the ground. Man, I'm telling you, like, chisel brushes, just... You can do straight lines and then just do circles and shit, and then you can do a load of space and you do zigzag. Oh, it's fucking... Chisel brushes are like fucking... I'm not the only one. I've seen a load of artists that like use chisel brushes like in this particular way. You do straight lines, like large areas, do fucking swirls and shit. Like, there's some really nice technical stuff that you can do, like make it look like calligraphy and shit, like. But that doesn't take anything away from the other kinds of brushes. Like, there's a reason there's all those different brushes. Like, they all have a purpose and stuff. I was recently watching a thing where he was like, never forget, or not never forget. Always try to remember to allow the tool do most of the work. And I was like, that's so true, you know. Don't try and use your like apparent or fucking seem like, you know, egotistically provided like skill level to try and like do stuff in an awkward way, or like use a tool in a way that it's not really supposed to do that, but you're so good you can do it anyway. It's like, no, use the shit that, like, there's a reason it was made to do that, like, so use it for the fucking purpose it's made for, like, you know. Because people can do it. I've like fallen like not victim, but like I've fucked up like that, where like I'm using the wrong thing to do something, and like I'm getting frustrated because I'm like, oh, why doesn't this work the way I want it to? And it's like, because you're being a retard, like, that's why. Hoping your package arrives next. If it's left Chicago, it'll probably show up sometime next week. I'll let you know when it shows up. I did the same thing with Denmark Bar. I'll let you know when it shows up, and I'll make sure that you're going to be on the stream on the day, and if like you're gone fishing or something, or if like you're not going to be on the stream or something, like I'll just wait for the next day that you're on the stream, and then I'll do the reveal then. So don't worry, you won't miss it. I've fucking touched the turtle designs in like a week because I've been doing the commission that I got. Fucking one of the Irish bears wants me to do a pair of gay looking sunflowers. It's very funny. I'm trying to do too many things at the same time, like, you know what I mean? Like, do a new symmetrical, do the fucking turtles and put them on a t-shirt, do this, do that, do painting goo every day for 2 fucking hours. Like, I need to boil it down. I've said this before, I need to boil it down to like 3 things. just symmetricals, character design, painting goo, and like 2 hours of each day. And try and just get it down to that. Like, I have managed to get myself into a routine where the days where I don't work out, like on my rest days, I do get more work done, you know? So that's good. Because I don't spend an hour like working out and shit. Oh, and my workouts are starting to get like quite satisfying. Again. So that is also good. I kind of want him pulling a Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan, where he's like slumped up against the hill and he's just like holding a 9 out and he's like, "You'll never take me alive." But I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do a female wedding cake, you know, with a shotgun or something. Like, I think that'd be hilarious. But I also think it'd be hilarious if you did like a giant mouse kaiju murdering him, and then like a load of mice here on the kayaks just on a holiday, and then one of them has a speech bubble that's like, "I see Uncle has thwarted another cake," or some shit, like, you know. It's like, there Daddy goes again, you know, killing the local kaiju. Like, I don't know what's so funny about taking stuff like a wedding cake and then like animating it to be some kind of like demonic entity. Like it's like a cursed wedding cake, you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that is like really entertaining to me. Like, you do like a short episode, like a short animation of like a couple getting married, like, you know, and then like someone who's like really jealous at the wedding or something, and they're into like Ouija boards or some shit, fucking curses the wedding cake in an attempt to like kill the bride and groom or something, like, you know. And then like that's exactly what happens. Like they're about to cut the cake, and the thing like springs into life and like grabs the knife and slays the two of them and just starts like rampage. Starts running like this cake running around, killing everyone, like people going crazy. Like, it's like in the newspaper the next day. Like, like that'd just crack me up if somebody animated that. Like, you know what I mean? And then did a slideshow of the newspapers like the following day, like, local wedding ends in horror as demonically possessed wedding cake slaughters dozens. Oh god, like, I'm just picturing it in my head, like pure Family Guy style, you know, like real simple, like not loads of fucking details, like on real quick animations and shit, like, you know, like, it's just be fucking hilarious. On this day, we declare our love for each other, you know, like looking deeply into his bride's eyes and stuff, and like they're looking at the camera then and about to cut the cake, and just this hand comes out, like, grabs him by the fucking scruff of his fucking tux or whatever, like, and then just like takes the knife off and starts brutally murdering him. Like, oh, it'd be fucking hilarious. There's something about cartoon violence, if you do it in a particular way, can be legit one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. Have you ever seen the original Conan the Barbarian movie? Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. The amount of times on stream that I've been like, so like, I got to tell this story again. I was like a toddler still. I was like legit no older than like, I was max like 4 years old or some shit when I first witnessed Conan the Barbarian on VHS. I was sitting on the sofa with my parents, both of them. It wasn't just me and me dad, because I remember what my ma said. I vaguely remembered the start of it for most of my days. The thing that sat in my mind the most was the scene quite near the beginning. It's like the first 15-20 minutes or something, where he takes shelter with that witch. She's like, "Come, you know, you're a calm traveler, you know, I have a fire and food and all." He's like, "Oh yeah, fair crom." You know, like, yeah. And basically they end up having sex, and it's quite graphic, like, you know what I mean, for about 10 seconds. And then she like goes all witch and demony and like goes to kill him, and he's like, "Ah!" and rolls over and tosses her in the fire in the room. And she's like, "Ah!" and explodes and shit. And he's just like, "Crumb."
know, like, I remember witnessing that, and I was just like, what the fuck? And then I remember my ma being like, should he really be watching this? And then my dad being like, he doesn't even know what's going on. Little did he know that my little, like, hyper-aware, like, autistic brain was sitting there absorbing all of that through my eye holes. You know, like... Conan the Barbarian, like, that's so funny though. Like, have you ever seen the original Conan the Barbarian movie? It's literally one of my first childhood memories. It's like one of the first 5 of my major childhood memories that's like seared into my subconscious. Is Conan fucking a witch and then throwing her in a fire? Like, Conan, what is best in life? Like, at a young age, I was downloading Conan the Barbarian. I was like, okay. You know, like, it's like, so that's what a good man is, you know? That's the good guy, you know? Butchers everyone, fucks everything, you know, eventually gets revenge, is friends with thieves, you know, like, it's fucking wild. I've spoken about it a few times on stream. It's like, you want to talk like childhood trauma and shit, like, oh my god, like, fucking hell. There's some shit that happened in my early life that definitely, like, molded some glitches into my firmware. Like, fucking hell. Like, I was only talking with the female about that yesterday, where, like, I've over the last few years with, like, listening to Owen and doing some, like, internal work and, like, doing the shadow work and all this fucking shit. But, like, genuinely, you know, just, like, I would call it, like, simply, without all the woo-woo fucking bullshit and all. You simply just consciously and actively, retrospectively go through your life in as linear a chronological order as you can and try, with the perspective you have now, analyze retrospectively your life and your major, like, milestones in your life and be like, okay, well, that makes sense because this happened to me, so that's probably why I did this, and that's probably why I felt like this was right at the time. And, like, looking back now, I know that that was a mistake, but, like, it's actually quite well explained by this previous occurrence and stuff. Like, and it's not like you go back and justify your choices. Like, I'm not talking about, like, you know, nothing's your, like, quite the opposite, actually. Like, you go back and take accountability for everything and look at everything and judge it from, like, as objective, like a third-person objective perspective as you can, because obviously you can't do it entirely. You're always going to be biased about some shit. It's your own life, like, you have an ego and shit, like, you know. But that's, like, what I've been doing the last few years, like, you know, overall, trying to, like, better myself, be a better man for my woman, be a better man for myself, get in touch with, like, the spiritual realm, because it's definitely real. Just like computers have software and electricity running through them, and we build them, I believe we were built by some kind of, like, higher beings and shit, and everyone's been arguing about, like, the details of the story ever since. But looking back on that one moment in particular, where I was really young and malleable and, like, you know, soaking everything up like a sponge, in that house, it was we used to live in a place called Clondalkin, in an area called Wheatfields in Clondalkin. It was quite rough. It was quite rough, and some of my earliest memories there definitely, like, steered me in, like, a particular direction in life for the first couple of years and stuff, and definitely had an effect later, like, because I had these, like, things, like, built into my psyche, like, you know, how I was with women, what I thought women were for. Like, genuinely, like, I spent, like, so much of my teenage years fucking up because I was like, I need a mate. I'm not a man if I don't have a mate, so I need a mate. And then I approached it so autistically because I didn't know the inner, like, I didn't know what women were like, you know, in a mating sense. I knew what women were like because I have a mother and I had a sister, so I knew what females were like in a general interaction sense. I'd make them laugh. One of my fucking best friends for years in school was a female, like, you know. So, like, I had really good rapport with females and an understanding of females in one particular sense. But the second I tried to engage in any romantic stuff with females for years, I was like, you know, very similar to like a lot of these like incels and internet kids, like these internet young males that you'd see these days, who literally have no fucking, like, they're like terrified of women. I wasn't terrified. I loved women. I couldn't wait to like engage and fucking, you know, figure stuff out and like get to first base, get to second base, get to third base. It's like, okay, so what happens when I get here? Okay, now I'm a bit closer. What happens now? What are the rules now? What are the rules now? What are the rules now? And like, I had the background in my mind of like, women are to be like, you know, conquered. You know, like they need to be conquered, controlled. Like, you know, they must submit to my will. Like, and it showed. Like, you know, I had no way like of I didn't have charm. You know, like, I was funny and I was intelligent and I was like fun to be around and shit like that, which I suppose was charismatic and charming in a sense. But I had no like, well, hello, you know, I had none of that. Like, I would straight up go, "You're really pretty, I like you," and they'd like freak, you know. Oh my god, he's a rapist, like, because I was so forward, you know, like, oh, he's a creep. I'd look them dead in the eye and be like, "You're beautiful. Can we go for a walk and talk?" And they'd be like, like, I remember being on a walk with a young one that I was like, I don't know what way you want to describe it, dating for a while. I was seeing her for like 2 weeks, and we'd kissed a few times, and we were just hanging out and texting a lot, like, you know. We were walking in the park and holding hands, and I looked at her, I was like, you know, I could see myself falling in love with you. And she, like, I think that's one of the reasons she went off like later that day and met up with her ex at a party and like wore the face off, because I like terrified her. Like, at that age, I was like, I seek a female to mate with, to help me build my empire. You know, like, that's like not the vibe that like 2010s-ish females were in, like my age, like, do you know what I mean? They want to go clubbing, they're talking about makeup and gossip and all this fucking shit. Like, you want to go to movies or something, like, let's go on a holiday to Spain. Like, I'm like, we should mate, and perhaps, like, I'm not interested in children. I believe them to be a waste of resources and time. You know, like, I was just such fucking like lunatic in a like pure like autistic nerd fucking, like, just so funny looking back, like, you know what I mean? Because then once I like cracked the code, I like got a lot of success with females. You know, I was like, oh, and like a lot of things clicked, and then it was like boom, 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 and then I met Emma, and then it pretty much ended after that. There was like a few years of like, you know, breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, like fucking, you know, she'd be with another guy for like a while, and then like I tried to like get over her and end up like being like, there was one specific time where like I had a gaff party and there was a female that I had met at a previous gaff party, and I was like, oh, do you want to show up or whatever? So I basically made a whole gaff party just as an excuse for this female to show up, like, and I was about to engage in, you know, the stuff, and I stopped and I was like, I don't, like, there was just this overwhelming voice in my head that was like, if you do this, like, you'll cut off that connection that you've developed with Emma, and there'll be no going back. It's still there, you know? And I knew that the only reason why me and Emma weren't together is because I told her to fuck off. So I was left with this situation of like, okay, so I have a female that, like, for the first time in my life, I think I genuinely love, and she genuinely loves me, but I keep getting rid of her, you know? So there was a whole, like, and I'm not blaming Conan the Barbarian for my entire experience, but it was definitely a major root input in my, like, conscious and subconscious thought processes of, like, male and female relationships. You know, which is fucking wild. That's like the last thing you should show a child and be like, you know, that's what men and women do. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, however, I will say that there was a slight benefit to it, because from a young age, I was very aware of people's motives. Very aware. I would always look at other boys and girls from a very young age, and I'd be like, oh, okay, you want to be a whore. So you're, like, saying these things, and, like, you're trying to be, like... it's almost like I was hyper-aware of the social sexual hierarchy from, like, the age of 10. Like, because I just used to see... I used to be able to connect people's their motives for things. I was, like, even, like, at that age, I was like, you're doing that because you like her. I could see that, you know? It was weird, like... And I from a young age, I knew that, like, what the end goal was. I was like, you want to be naked with her, like, you know, from, like, the age of, like, from a really young age, because I had the picture in my mind. I had, like, the end goal already, like, in my head, like, mad, like, your kids shouldn't see anything like that until they're, like, there's a reason there's age restrictions, people, you know, it's crazy. No, in fairness to them, I think I mentioned this before, that they did restrict me watching stuff and playing certain video games later on. So they obviously learned their lesson, you know? It was crazy. Crazes? It was crazy. In the intro, the magician describes briefly how the sea consumed Atlantis pretty based. That's cool. I don't remember that part. The fucking... Conan, as far as I'm aware, was created by the same guy who created Bane. Your man, the legend Chuck Dixon. So there's, like, loads of, like, really cool gravy in those storylines and shit, because your man Chuck Dixon is, like, an amazing writer. Really good writer, like, loads of gravy in that shit, like. You know, all these giant monsters and, like, the gods and what the gods want and how it works and how it has a tangible effect on your world and, like, loads of shit, like, you know. Oh, Jesus, that's mental. I remember watching Terminator 2 on VHS over and over, way too young. Same. Like, young, I would, like, you know, you can't really get, well, obviously you could probably get a lot worse than watching Conan, the age I watched Conan, but, like, I watched a lot of shit, you know, way too young, and then it affected me in various ways. But at the same, like, you know, you gotta, like, that's... You have to. I think you should. I think you should look at everything kind of like in that, like... I don't mean to say like, you should look at things the way I look at things. Like, that's a bit stupid. But, like, this is how I look at things, and I have gained a lot of benefit from it. Is, like... Kind of like what Owen's been going on about lately with the whole self-accountability thing. It's like... No matter what you look at in your past... Even if it is objectively bad in, like, loads of ways, you're like, that's a terrible thing, like, you know? There's always something positive that can be, you know, gleaned or fucking, you know, mined almost from those experiences. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I agree that it's like, you know, God lets things happen because it's like, no, if he gets through this, it'll make him stronger. If he gets through this, it'll make him stronger. You know? If this kills him, then... it kills him, you know? It's kind of like that, like, which, you know, you could argue that's like, oh, that's pretty dark, but it's like, is it though? It's like, if your objective is creation and the good, true, and the beautiful, then you look at something as simple as like a little daisy, you know, a tiny little flower, like a, you know, a daisy or like a fucking dandelion or some shit growing out of the soil. And you just have that little, like, coming out of the, you know, that little spark of beautiful green coming out of the brown. And it's like, if you do not agitate it, if you do not test it, if you do not, like, stress it, then it won't really grow up to be much, like, do you know what I mean? And, like, that's, I think, is, like, a great analogy with the whole roots and wind and stuff like that. It was, like, the strongest trees... the strongest forests with the most shit in them, like, do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of them are located in these places that, like, you know, as the forest was growing, is like really high winds, really cold winters, intense summers, fucking, like, all this shit. It's like, it is the extremes of life, where, you know, the extremes the furthest reaches of the realm, or the subconscious realm, the conceptual realm, that you find the greatest lessons, you know? If you just stay in this, like, comfortable spot and you're like, I'm good here, you know? And I've done that, you know, for a while. I've been like, I don't want to fucking push. I just want to be. I'm tired. Like, I've done that lately. Do you know what I mean? But, like, you're not gonna go anywhere. You're not gonna grow. You're not gonna achieve anything. Like, do you know what I mean? You'll just be, you know? And, like, that's not bad. Just being isn't bad. But it's like, there's always that ever-present thing of like, well, what the like, you know, you're just being, you know, you're like, even if you're doing like arguably good things like tending a garden, reading books, fucking exercising, if you're just doing that all the time and you're not really growing and you're just being, sure, you'll have a nice garden, whatever, but like, is it really that much different from the guy who just watches Netflix, jerks off, eats Doritos, and like never exercises? Do you know what I mean? It's like, one of them's kind of nicer, definitely to look at, you know, and it feels better and shit like that. Like, but if neither of them are like expanding and growing and going through stresses and stuff like that, then they're both kind of just like on this level of like comfort, you know. And it, like, we definitely all go through periods of that in your life. Like, especially, I think, like, for me anyway, the reason how, like, not the reason, the justification that I gave myself is like, you know, oh, you've been through so much shit, like, you're all tired now, like, you're exhausted. I mean, look at you, like, you know, you're fucking knackered, like, you know, you've lost a lot of weight, like, stressed out your mind, your nervous system's probably, like, jacked because you've been in fight or flight for fucking years. Give yourself a breather, you deserve it, like, fucking take it easy and all, like, which is good for, like, a few days or weeks, maybe months, depending on how much shit you've been through, like, you know. But to be like that perpetually, you know, you're just babying yourself, you're just fucking, like, mollycoddling yourself into, like, you know, it's okay, you don't need to do anything, take it easy. Like, that quickly becomes demonic, you know. That quickly turns into sloth and pride and all these things. Like, you need that other party that comes back in and be like, get the fuck up and do something, you know. Like, fucking make some shit, like, you know, oh, woe is me, you've been through some shit. Like, that's one of the reasons I love watching crazy dark stuff, is to constantly remind myself how fucking blessed and lucky I am, because my life is such a contrast to that, you know. I have a fucking gorgeous female I've been with for fucking nearly over a decade, like, and we're still together, you know. I have this, like, apparent ability and, like, talent and shit that, like, is kind of a combination of me just doing the same stuff from a young age and, like, yeah, I was just born to do this. It's like, wouldn't that be, like, incredibly arrogant and, like, selfish and stupid to, like, waste it, you know? It's crazy how much your mind fucking, well, at least for me anyway, I know a lot of people never change, but, like, man, I went from, like, straight up suicidal to, like, really, like, genuinely, like, most days I wake up and I'm like, oh, thank fuck, I get another day. You know, like, you know, I used to just sit around playing video games, eating a load of fucking junk food and smoking a ton of weed and just, like, bitch about how fucking shit life was. I mean, it's, like, fucking pathetic. And, like, don't get me wrong, there were some days where I had an absolute blast, you know. Like, there's few things that I've come across that are genuine. Like, I'm not even playing. Like, there's something about it. Like, playing video games with a few of your friends high while eating junk food. Like, you know, when you're in, like, either in the same room or different rooms on the internet or whatever. Like, man, it can be some of the most fucking funny, entertaining shit you've ever done in your life. Like, you know, your personalities come true in the game and stuff. Like, it's brilliant. Like, like, there's a reason why a large portion of the population of the planet is just stuck in front of screens all the time doing that, because our real life for a lot of people has become so unbearable and so nonsensical and so disgusting and, like, non-human that being in a digital world with people who are nice and you get along with and they have a great sense of humor and they tell stories that make you laugh and, like, and then there's, like, things in the game that, like, you really resonate with, you know, like, the story of the game, the aesthetic of the game, the fucking things you do in the game, stuff like that. Like, you know, like defending a castle from demons together or some shit. Like, it's like games give you an ability to, like, enter into all of these compartmentalized, you know, multiverses where you can go and meet people on a soul level and an intellect level and resonate that way, you know? Because it can be hard. Like, you know, like, you should imagine if you were, like, somebody like, you know, somebody like us, like, you know what I mean, who's like open-minded, you know, and willing to talk and, like, you know, believes in stuff and all, like, just like trying to be a good person and shit, like, and you grow up in, like, you know, like Queens or the fuck, like some really, like the projects or some shit, like some really ghettoized area, like the probability of you know, pulling a 50 cent and making it out of there or some shit, like, you know, it's so rare. Like, it does happen, you know, but most people just, like, get involved in drugs, their dad's not around, fucking, like, and it's not just blacks, you know. Sure, the statistics are way higher, but, like, I've seen that, and I'm white and I'm Irish, you know. No da, ma ends up with, like, a dude just for money and stability, so they've a pretty shit relationship, so that means there's a shit energy in the house a lot of the time, and, like, it's horrible, but it is what it is, you know. Like, you either fucking acknowledge it and adapt to it and learn and grow and become stronger and more more anti-fragile and capable of, like, handling life, or you allow it to get you down, you succumb to things like the victim consciousness, and then you engage in sin of, like, anger and sloth and pride and gluttony and all this fucking shit, and you slowly devolve into a fucking animal, you know. Glad I am a small place for that reason. Always know what my kids are watching. Yeah, like, I get, yeah, like mansions where you have all these fucking, like, you have all these family members who are like 200-300 feet away from each other, and you may as well be in a different house, you know, like, that shit's crazy, like, do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, like, you look at a mansion, you're like, wow, that's gorgeous. Like, look at the architecture, look at the fucking, oh my god, that pool's crazy looking. A bar, you guys have a bar downstairs, like, beside your sitting room, that's crazy. Like, there's definitely an appeal to the opulence and the fucking decadence and the leisure and all this fucking shit, like, but then there's, like, the reality of, like, there's, like, 4 years in the house at any given time, like, you know, and it's like, what is this? Like, you know what I mean? But then that's how they just fill the void where they have, like, you know, huge parties all the time. And it's like, oh yeah, invite a lot of people, like, you know, and then you have, like, drug dealers and famous people and criminals and corrupt cops and all these people in your mansion, and then some shit goes down and you're like, oh fuck, you know, like, I didn't think someone was gonna fucking, you know, rape one of the local college students in my toilet when I just held a party. Like, you know, it's like that shit happens all the time where you have this, like, want for community and human connection, but the way you do it is you put a load of fucked up people in a house, you know, like, and then play a lot of demonic music and they're all doing drugs, and then some shit goes down and it's like, oh, how did that happen? Gee, I wonder. Like, it's fucking ghastly. Life is mundane, gaming is virtually real. I can see where you're coming from, but I would fundamentally disagree. I mean, like, life isn't mundane. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it isn't. Life is incredible, and, like, we're all trying to constantly comprehend this thing that is life. But, like I said, there, like, in the particular timeline that we exist in, there's definitely a truth to, like, sometimes there's actually more. Like, people have gotten married on Halo. Like, there definitely is something to be said of the internet, and gaming has created this space where people can exist in a more mental, like, intellectual, spiritual even sense, and connect on that creative level without ever having to meet in person, which is, like, ridiculously cool. Like, you know, it's, like, all sorts of cool. But the horrible, dark fucking reality that has come out of gaming is, like, you now have this push to keep people, like, in a virtual headset in a room You know, like a bee in a hive. And, like, you've seen those fucking, like, you know, dystopian memes, these paintings and drawings of, like, you're, like, you have a fucking set of goggles on and earphones, and you've got, like, a fucking mask on, and you've got this thing connected to your ass and your cock, and, like, you literally never have to move. Everything's, like, pumped into you and sucked out of you, and, like, you just sit there like an extreme dark version of the fat fuckers in Wall-E that were all just on chairs floating around with these shakes and stuff with these screens floating in front of them. Like, there is, like, that is the dark side of the gaming world, where, like, there are a group of people who are like going down this existence thread towards that Minority Report fucked up, like, we're all in pods connected purely on a mental level and shit, like, and the reality is that there's, like, some janitor going around all these pods at night, like, making sure that the tubes are clean and, like, people's bags are emptied and stuff like that, like, do you know what I mean? And, like, that's usually usually you only see that in, like, old folks' homes and, like, where places or people are, like, feeble and can't take care of themselves and they're dying. Well, like, they're putting you, like, you're willingly becoming an overweight sack of shit, like, prematurely. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're fucking, instead of being, like, old and being like, oh, fuck it, I've only got, like, 10 years left, I'm just gonna put a lot of weight on and eat Doritos and jack off all the time. Like, you're that in your 20s. Do you know what I mean? Like, your bone density's gone out the fucking window. You're, like, to stop yourself having, like, I could see a situation, right, where they have to put pacemakers in, like, a fucking huge section of the population because people just keep having heart attacks and, like, glitching out and shit. So, like, load of people will have pacemakers, and then there'll come a time where, like, you'll get some fucking lunatic who will, like, hack the network that a load of people's pacemakers are connected to and then just turn them all off. Like, we're starting to see that now. We're starting to see that where, like, you know, a couple of years ago, people were putting the fucking chip in between their thumb and their finger and all, like, you know. And it's like, oh, it's so cool. It unlocks doors. It lets me get in my car and all, like, you know. Yeah, what happens when some black lad shows up with a machete and cuts your hand off? Like, do you know what I mean? And I just fucking, like, like, all this supposed advanced technology, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, I have a chip in my wrist that, like, allows me to just stroll around, and I don't need a card, I don't need a phone, I don't need, like, it's like when Frankie Boyle made that joke about, like, you get your fucking ID stolen in the future, you'll have to fucking go get a new set of eyes, like, out of Minority Report, like, do you know, like, fucking, like, ah, god damn it, now I have to fucking hold I have to, like, hold something hot till my fingerprints melt. Like, oh, fucking hell, like, try commuting to work on a motorcycle, nothing mundane about that. Yeah, I know, like, fair play to me, for years, like, just driving into town on a motorbike, and he only ever had, like, 2 incidences or something, like, when people don't respect cyclists or, like, people on motorbikes at all, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's so, like, you just get a nudge when you're on a motorbike and, like, wobble, and if you don't control that shit, like, you could be potentially, like, you know, dead or in hospital easily, like, do you know what I mean? You're so safe in a car. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I hate about cars, is, like, everyone has a car. Do you know what I mean? Like, most people have a car, like, you know? And it's like, they don't realize what it is, you know? You're, like, driving a big hunk of fucking metal around and shit like that, like, and it's just, and then you have all these people who have all these, like, habits, like, while driving and shit, like, you know, I gotta get there now! It's like, you're in a car. You are gonna get there multitudes faster than you would have if you had to walk or take public transport. Typically, anyway. Sometimes public transport can be quicker. But, like, you're in a car. Like, sure, like, if you're in traffic and you're just burning fuel, I can understand the frustration of just, like, oh, for fuck's sake, come on. But the people who, like, are, like, driving behind, like, my female does this. We'd be in the car driving, right, and someone would be like, this is a 70 zone, and this dude's doing 60. And I'm like, so? Do you know, like, relax, like. And then people start overtaking it all, and I'm just like, why? You're gonna overtake, and you're gonna get there, what, 30 seconds quicker? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, like, you know what I mean? Like, I get the idea of personal freedom and shit, like, but there's a lot of shit where I'm just like, oh, you fucking lazy bastards. And, like the convenience and the laziness and it's like, all this shit is, like, the main reason why people have become so dependent and weak, you know? Like, it's stuff like that where, like, that's why I love, like, actually painting stuff and why I refuse to get a tablet and start doing digital shit. Like, it's too easy! I could just take this image, take that image, Photoshop it a bit, blend it together, like, put a fucking film over it, put an effect over it, like, you know, insert this, clickety click click, boom, done. Like, you know, it's like, earn it. You gotta fucking earn it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like the difference between someone like Jorge Masvidal, who's like been fighting in back gardens since he was like 16 or some shit like that, and then he takes someone like Jake Paul, who's like a YouTube head, and he's supposed to be fighting fucking Mike Tyson, and it's been cancelled now. Now he's fighting Mike Perry. Like that dude has no fucking right to be fighting the people he has fought, you know, apart from somebody like Tommy Fury, you know, like, I mean, that was like, whatever, like, that's what should have happened, you know. Tommy Fury is like at that level, kind of, you know, like, not much better than him really, and still like beat him, you know. It's like, you have all these fucking, like, the same people who are like, oh no, AI art is gonna ruin, like, art, it's gonna ruin, like, you know, I don't have a career anymore. It's like, you fucking parasitic loser. You know, like, what, AI, just AI getting into the art scene and people making stuff for AI art has annihilated your morale, you know, your faith in your craft. Like, when I seen AI art came out, I laughed. In the last few years where it started to get big and everybody's creating these images and all, I laughed. I was like, ha, that's typical. It's like, I start making money with my art and now I have to, like, up my game. Do you know what I mean? Because there's going to be a load of these fucking people throwing images together and shit, like. And then I thought about it and I was like, if, like, the only reason that works is because a lot of art already exists. So that's all the artificial intelligence is doing, and it's not even artificial intelligence. Like, when they're like, oh, AI is so powerful now, it's not intellect. It's programming. It's sophisticated programming. It's not sentient. It does it, like, it's not like it turned the thing on. It's like, greetings, David. How are you feeling today? You know, like, my circuits are a bit warm. Would you mind replacing the coolant in my left tank? Like, it's not conscious. It's made by man, like, in a programmed way. Like, it's X plus Y equals Z. It's input, output, input, output. It's just a fucking algorithm. So all it does is take all of the fucking, like, image data from the internet and just, like, compile it based on what you've said and just shit out an image. And, like, people are like, it's robots, we're all gonna die. Like, it's so fucking... like, in the last 7 years, I have been repeatedly beside myself, laughing and in awe, like, in terror, in horror, of how fucking openly and blatantly retarded most people are. Pacemaker blackout, what the fuck? I know, like, how terrifying would that be? Like, but you're gonna get shit like that now, like, do you know what I mean? Because everything's gonna be on a grid. Everything's gonna be, like, you know, serial numbered and on a grid and accounted for, like, it's on a ledger and it's connected to an electrical grid and all that. It's all going to be on one thing. Like, that's what, like, that's why I have that theory of, like, the old world shit where it's like, oh, you have all these star forts that were, like, you know, built by the same civilization all over the realm, and they were interconnected by these aqueducts that used water and temperature differential and all these minerals to create, like, to pull 0 point energy out of the atmosphere and all this shit. It's like, okay, so you essentially had a circuit board of energy that was interconnected over most of the realm. You don't think the potential for a fucking overload could happen in a system, like, and this is just me spitballing. I'm not a fucking expert or genius. I don't know what the fuck. This is definitely Dunning-Kruger. Like what Owen was talking about. Like, I know enough where I'm like, wouldn't there be a potential for, like, some kind of overload in the circuit? And if there was an overload in the circuit that spans that much of a fucking that much of the realm and it's interconnected, would there not be a possibility for accidentally or intentionally a whole civilization being wiped out in the blink of an eye? You know, maybe that's why we don't use that tech anymore. Oh, the old tech was so good, it was so clean, it was free, it was this, it was that. It was like, yeah, but what if they had, you know, 1,000 years of all this, like, opulent beauty that was moral and clean and all this fucking shit, but then just either some asshole poisoned the well, you know, energetically, and fried the whole fucking thing and wiped everyone out in the blink of an eye, or it was accidental, you know? What if they didn't know, like, if they put too much in there or some shit, or if they changed something, or what if there was a solar flare? I don't fucking know. Like, Jimmy, it's like, but it makes sense to me that, like, the more, because my point being, that's what they're trying to do it again. They're trying to do it again now with the whole, like, we must establish a new world order. Like, like, I need to be able to go to walk down a beach wearing a top hat and fucking fishnet tights and heels. You know, like, we elites need the proletariat to bring about the new age of the dystopian world order. Like, it's like the fact that people, like, actually get roped up into this shit, like that Klaus Schwab lad is gonna be found fucking ass up with a fucking dildo in his ass, or fuck, like, he'll be found with a ass up with a butt plug and, like, shit choking his neck or some shit. Like, these people kill themselves. You don't have to fucking worry about them, like, you know? He's gonna fucking David Carradine the fuck out of himself, like, guaranteed. Like, the reason why they're so fucking high up in those things is because they're the biggest sellouts and degenerates. They don't give a fuck about their grandmother, like, you know, or their daughter or whatever, let alone us as a species or a populace. Do you know what I mean? All they give, it's like fucking, like, here, when you seen fucking, why, what's wrong? What's wrong with Streamlabs? Unless you're driving more than an hour, there's no... What's wrong with the stream? Is there something wrong with the stream? Can you not hear the music or some shit? No? All of my levels are fine. It must be you, Stabaru. Is Streamlabs working okay? How dare you scare me while I'm ranting? Oh! It's because I didn't read out your fucking... Yeah, sorry. I was in the middle of a rant and I forgot to read your fucking... Somebody has paid for PEINTEINGU! Stabaru-sama says, you're doing great, kid. Many thanks for the goo. Oh, well, glorious. You are welcome, of course, brother. Whether it's paint or rant or sip. I am here for you people. To entertain you. To give you respite. From the degeneracy... The degeneracy? Degeneracy? The sea of degeneracy? The degenerate sea. You've heard of the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, the degenerate sea, as that's all it is. Fucking leviathans and behemoths abound. That's why I can't, like, that's why I fucking, like, can't stand, like, religion and all that, like, the Gnostic shit, like, the knowledge is cool, the mythical shit is cool, the symbology is cool. All that stuff's fascinating. But the fact that we've spent centuries, if not millennia, butchering each other over mere argumentation is kind of embarrassing. Do you know? Yeah, I paid for PEINTEINGU. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. I was like, what's wrong? What the fuck? Oh, I didn't read the comment. Shit. That's my bad. I was so in flow. But yeah, that's what I fucking hate about that shit. It's like, it's fucking... It's embarrassing, you know? We profess and declare our supposed technology and fucking intellect, like, all the fucking time about various fucking things. But, like, we can't even fucking agree on what God is, or who, or he, or she, or fucking, you know, the fact that there is a fucking documentary out there by some faggot called What is a Woman? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's shameful. It's, like, pathetic. It's fucking, like, we're gonna look back. We should, like, I hope humanity looks back at these years with everything from movies to video games to fucking politics to religion to all of it, and it's just like, never again. Never again will we stoop to such utter low levels of fucking stupidity and like just blatant demonic shit, you know? Like, where you don't even bother making a sophisticated lie to try and get past people. Like, you just fucking, like... You're just... the arrogance of these fucking gays and these world leaders and all this fucking shit. Like, do you know, it's just... Like, that Norm Macdonald bit is so fucking true and funny, where it's like, oh, it seems like you guys have pride in fucking another man's ass. Like, you're gonna have a parade geared around, like, women who eat each other out because they can't do it. Like that fundamental shit makes me laugh my ass off at lesbians and gays and stuff. It's like, there's literally a whole industry around fake penises because there's gays, like, you know, typically females. It's like, I don't like men, but I like cock. Well, like, cocks are attached to males, you dumb bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just, the stupidity gets to me, like. The stupidity really fucking gets to me, like. It's shameful. To fucking go on, like, to behave like we're better than animals, or we have, like, a right and dominion because God said so and all this shit. But, you know, fucking conveniently, not a single, pun intended, goddamn one of you can prove a fucking thing. Like, you know, well, my book says this and it's older. Fuck off. Such a load of bollocks. I believe in the one true God. How do you know that? Ooh, questions. Logic. How dare you? That's another thing. Like, we live in a fucking we live in a timeline where the fucking it's not just like physical cowardice, it's like mental and spiritual cowardice, you know. Well, I'm not willing to, you know, debate intellectually or like in fairly, even based on logic, because my feelings, you know. It's like, what the fuck, like. Yeah, blasphemer! It's like, fuck off, like. How dare you blaspheme? Says who? God! When did God say that? Oh, he told it to this dude. So like, do you not think it's convenient that fucking every time somebody allegedly spoke to God, they were on their own? Like, not one, like, show me a where there was fucking 10 years in a field and God showed up and was like, lads, here's the story. I'm gonna hand you these fucking commandments and you're gonna, you know, hand them out like pamphlets, fucking make copies, you know, even if you have to chisel it into rock. And like hand it out to the people and get this shit going. Like, these are the rules, you know, fucking like that doesn't make any sense. It's like, if God created a realm, as he's creating the realm, he's creating the rules. Like, isn't, like, do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have to make a bird and then program the bird. Or maybe I'm wrong, maybe he does. Like, I don't know, maybe he makes it out of clay and then goes and then bird, you know. But like, it doesn't make any sense to me that, like, he'd make all this shit and make all this stuff and then way later turn around to one of the things that he's made and be like, okay, here's the rules to everything I made. Like, what the fuck? Like, even the Garden of Eden thing, where it's like, you know, Eve was led astray by the serpent. It's like, how? Like, didn't she know? Like, doesn't he turn around and go, you're not allowed to touch that. You're allowed to do anything you want apart from touch that tree. You know? And then a snake came up and was like, touch the tree, take the apple, do it. Like, and it's like, so was Eve just a retard? Like, so you're making Eve out to be a gullible, naive child, like you know, oh, we were like children in the garden, so we were retarded, we were so we were grown, and we were like copulating, but we were fucking mentally deficient, and we were talking to snakes. You know, like, it's like, oh, but it's not just the snake, it's Lucifer himself. He's like a master of deception. You know, he can be a snake, he can be a man, he can be a woman, he can be whatever he wants to be and all. Like, it's like, it's, again, horribly convenient. Like, do you know what I mean? That you got told to do this stupid thing you were told not to do by this other seemingly omnipotent, like, creature that you had. It's just victim consciousness. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, well, it's not my fault. This snake told me. It's like, have you been sniffing the fucking powder again? What's wrong with you? Like, what the fuck do you mean the snake told you? Like, you're not Harry Potter, Eve. I didn't give you parcel mouth, you fucking stupid bitch. Snake's not talking to you. Stop eating the goddamn mushrooms. Oh, it's fucking like... The claim in the Bible is God cannot reveal himself to us because people could not handle seeing God. Yeah, well, like, I totally get that. Like, fucking, like, that concept of, like, man, people can't handle you telling them that we didn't go to the moon. Like, people can't handle you telling them that God is real. Do you know what I mean? Like, fucking, you turn around to some people and it's like, you know, God's real, like, and it makes sense why God, like, was some kind of new supernatural thing. And they're like, no, it doesn't make sense, science, like... People can't handle mad shit. Like, people can't... Like, there's some people in the world that can't handle fucking seeing a black cat on a Tuesday. Like, you know what I mean? It's like... It's totally believable that, like, if you're in the presence of some kind of thing, you know, that was just, like, dropping serious, like, knowledge bombs on you, like you would. You'd fucking be like, oh my god, what the fuck? Like, it's also easily, like, described as, like, you know, your senses can be confused. Your eyes can be deceived. Your ears can be deceived. Your fucking, you know, taste, like, touch, it all can be deceived. Like, you know, your senses are not 100% reliable. So if you witnessed something that created everything that you get stimulated by, like, do you know what I mean? It in a really boiled down, simplified sense, like, that's like the ultimate overstimulation of your senses. Like, your entire sensory faculty would just in an instant be overwhelmed by, you know, in quotes, the grace or glory of God or some shit like that. You'd just be like, ah, maybe it burst into flames, I don't fucking know, like, but it makes sense, you know. I mean, I would argue that something that omnipotent would be able to, you know, do something in order for you to handle it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's fucking God, would he not have the capability to be, like, encapsulate you in some kind of barrier, or, like, reduce himself to human form? You know, like, isn't that kind of, like, what the whole Jesus story is supposed to be? Like, I can't come down, so I'll send my son. You know, like, and then everybody's like, he's God! It's like, Jesus Christ. like, it's so retarded. Like, just time and time again, it's just blatantly obvious that, like, humans as a species are, like, really fucking stupid. like, Like, really fucking stupid. Not kind of stupid. Like, really fucking stupid. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo. Sip, sip. Okay. Quick misting. Put it like here. Yeah, like we're going out here or something. Do 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 doodle doo doodle doo. Painting goo. Glorious gaboo. Don't want to make the arm too long, you know, but I also don't want to make it too short. Moses had help communicating with God on the mount with apparently someone called Aaron, which is interesting. So it wasn't just him in a bush, it was him and her bush. He conversed with a burning bush. Yes, what was it attached to, though? You know, whose burning bush was it? Like, and why was it burning? Was she a naughty girl? Why was Moses alone in a cave with her? Make some gray. tiny bit.
Painting goo goo.
This music reminds me of the fight scene from The Punisher. Oh, with the Russian? Yeah, that's awesome. It's from A Clockwork Orange, I believe. That's awesome. Yeah, that's what it's like. The best scene in that movie is when the Russian shows up. Send in the Russian. It's fucking hilarious.
Painting goo 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 goo.
Yeah, fuck it, I'll just...
Painting goo goo goo.
Give him a fucking chrome Glock or some shit. I have captured the essence of Tom Hanks in Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan. Aaron was the mouthpiece for Moses because he was a stutterer. Is that a joke? Like Aaron? It was Aaron. No, it was Aaron. Aaron. Like, you there with the speech impediment. You there with the speech impediment. You shall help me converse with God. Of course, Moses. Like, like, Moses, who do you wish to join you as you head on your adventure to converse with the Almighty? That one. Why? Because. Like, oh, fuck. There's only 5 minutes left. I'll throw some white on the clouds. I don't want to start constructing the mouse or the kayak or the potentially adversarial cake. Don't have the time. So I'll just add some froth. Some whiteness. These beautiful frothy crowds. beep, beep. Jesus, loads of shit going on outside. Someone's trying to get a van into the like little housing estate across the road, but because of all of the construction going on, there's like a fucking load of shit going on. That's gas. This fucking town it's so rural, but like it's got like an insane amount of traffic running through because it's like you have to go through Tipperary to get to other places, you know. If you're taking that route anyway, like, and just the amount of foot traffic and like traffic and fucking like other trucks and shit, like it's mad, like. Those are some of the most beautiful crowds I have made on the streamer. Great prairist. It is indeed, isn't it? Classical music that goes hard. It's excellent. Aaron was his cousin. Moses was the stutterer. That's hilarious. I need somebody to translate for me. It'd be so embarrassing if I stutter in front of the Almighty. Finery caught up for now. I believe I am more sweat than man. What flavor is the corpse cake? What do you want flavor? It's fucking cake. It's cake flavor. It's the flavor of cake. What flavor is the cake? Fucking. If I say lemon, it'll make it a gay cake. I love lemon. Lemon cheesecake. You know, lemon meringue. Like, oh, fucking just lemons. Oh, God. Like, part of me wants to kind of blend them a little bit more. But from a distance, they look grand, you know. Up close, they look a little bit shit now. But we'll see when it dries. Yeah, like, I think Kaiju Mouse would be pretty funny. I'm gonna put the groom here, and then I'll put the bride, like he's, like, holding her like she's dead. Nah! But yeah, I've only got fucking a minute left, so I'm gonna leave it there. Just fucking autistically put some white on this because it's bugging me. All these things that aren't white enough. Right. Okie dokie, my beloved Japanites, and all you other filthy mortars. This concludes today's episode of Paintingu. I hope you enjoyed Ingu. Consider supporting the streamu by link in the description. Buy a t-shirt. Give me some money. Pay the monkey for his piano playing. I mean, look at him. Look at him. His bowl is empty. Do you not feel pity for the monkey? You should. If you have any honor, you would pity Myro. For I do not feed him, I do not clothe him. I barely accommodate him. His survival depends entirely upon you, you filthy murderers. Anyway, remember to pay for Paintingu. Be good, be true, and be beautiful. And I shall see you. Same timer, same bracer, same high-octane painting energy. You've never seen paint dry like this before. Hi. Right. I bid you farewell. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day, my beloved Japanites. And all you other filthy mortars. Say goodbye to the people, Garos. Garos wants to say goodbye. Arr. Remember to like and subscribe to Paintingu, or Garos will eat your face. Tutors. Yes, lemon flavored shit is the best. I don't care what anyone says. Lemon shit and strawberry shit. That does not include lemon flavored feces or strawberry flavored feces. When I say shit, I'm not actually talking about shit. Right, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'll see you later. Much love. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh. Oh! One more. A glorious Geppo for the road. Geppo?